Have you ever thought about the word survivor? It's a powerful word, right? It brings to mind strength, resilience, and the courage to overcome incredible hardship. In recent years, many domestic abuse groups have started using this term to empower people who have endured violence or mistreatment, and that's a wonderful thing. But what if I told you that the widespread use of this word, while well-intentioned, has created some unintended problems for a group of people who are suffering in silence? I'm talking about alienated parents. These are parents who face the heart-wrenching reality of being cut off from their own children, not by choice, but due to a process called parental alienation. Today we're going to explore why alienated parents are more accurately described as targets rather than survivors, how the current survivor culture can inadvertently harm them, and why getting the language right is so incredibly important for all victims of abuse. First, let's make sure we're on the same page. What is parental alienation? It's a devastating process where one parent systematically manipulates a child to reject the other parent for no legitimate reason. This usually happens during or after a difficult separation or divorce. The alienated parent is left isolated, confused, and emotionally shattered. Imagine waking up every day to the silence where your child's laughter used to be. Imagine facing a wall of rejection from the person you love most in the world. Alienated parents are dealing with an immense loss of meaningful contact with their kids. They're battling constant emotional pain, social stigma, and the misunderstanding of friends, family, and even professionals. And on top of all that, they're often trapped in exhausting and expensive legal battles. Unlike the visible scars of physical abuse, their pain is invisible. It's a quiet suffering that society often dismisses or simply doesn't understand. This brings us to the core of our conversation: why alienated parents are targets, not survivors. The term survivor implies that the trauma is in the past, that the person has overcome it. But for an alienated parent, the harm isn't over. It's happening right now. It's a continuous, deliberate attack designed to destroy the most precious relationship in their life. They are in the middle of the storm, not standing on the shore looking back at it. Think about it. Alienation is a sustained campaign of psychological harm. It's not a single event. It's a daily reality. The alienating parent often controls the entire narrative, poisoning the child's mind and turning everyone against the targeted parent. Because this form of abuse is so subtle and complex, many people, including those in the legal system, fail to even recognize it as abuse. The courts can struggle to identify what's happening, which only prolongs the parent's suffering. So when we call an alienated parent a survivor, it can feel dismissive. It unintentionally minimizes their ongoing pain and suggests they should just get over it when the abuse is still very much active. They are targets, caught in the crosshairs of a deeply damaging psychological war. Now let's talk about how the term survivor is sometimes misused. Originally, it was meant to honor people who had lived through and recovered from severe trauma, like intense domestic violence, sexual assault, or the horrors of war. It's a term of respect for their journey to healing. However, in some circles, survivor has become a casual label for anyone who has faced any kind of conflict or hardship. When a word with such a specific and powerful meaning gets diluted, it causes problems. Firstly, it diminishes the significance for those who have truly endured and overcome the most severe forms of abuse. Secondly, and just as importantly, it can exclude people who are still being victimized. If support groups are only focused on celebrating survivors, what happens to the targets who are still in the thick of it? People like alienated parents can feel invalidated and left out, as if their current suffering doesn't count. This confusion can also affect support services. Agencies might prioritize funding and resources for survivors, leaving those who are currently experiencing abuse without the urgent help they need. Lumping complex psychological abuse like parental alienation under the same broad umbrella as physical abuse can lead to a complete misunderstanding of what the victim is going through. For example, a domestic abuse organization might host a gala celebrating survivors of physical violence, but completely overlook the alienated father next door who is being systematically erased from his child's life. This is why using the right language is absolutely critical. The words we use shape our understanding and our response to trauma. When we use precise terms, we validate a person's specific experience. We acknowledge their unique pain and the challenges they face. Target or victim accurately reflects the current reality for an alienated parent. It sends a clear message that the abuse is ongoing and needs to be stopped. Clear language also helps guide people to the right kind of support. The intervention needed for parental alienation is very different from the support needed for someone who has escaped a physically violent relationship. Using the correct terminology also helps educate the public, law enforcement, and legal professionals about these less visible forms of abuse. And most importantly, when victims feel truly seen and understood, they are far more likely to seek help and begin their journey toward healing, whenever that may be. Let's look at a few real-world examples of how this misunderstanding plays out. A mother who is actively alienating the father might be portrayed as a survivor of a difficult marriage, gaining sympathy and support. Meanwhile, the father, the actual target of ongoing emotional abuse, is ignored, or even worse, blamed. A support group focused on survivors might turn away an alienated parent because their story doesn't fit the expected narrative of physical violence. A judge might fail to act on an alienation claim because the language used in court doesn't adequately capture the severity and ongoing nature of the harm being done to both the parent and the child. These examples show just how much power our words hold. So how can we move toward greater clarity and compassion? It starts with a shift in perspective. Recognizing an alienated parents as targets doesn't take away from their strength or resilience. In fact, it does the opposite. It honors their incredible endurance while highlighting their urgent need for support and intervention. It's a call for society to broaden its understanding of abuse beyond the physical. We can take practical steps. We need to educate our communities and legal systems about parental alienation as a distinct and serious form of abuse. We should encourage domestic abuse organizations and the media to use more precise language, distinguishing between those who have survived past trauma and those who are currently targets of ongoing harm. We need to advocate for legal reforms that properly recognize and provide remedies for alienation. And crucially, we need to develop tailored support services, counseling, workshops, and support groups designed specifically for the unique challenges alienated parents face. If you're an alienated parent watching this, please know that you are not alone. Your pain is real, and it is valid. At PAPA, the Parental Alienation Awareness Association, we understand what you're going through because we see it every day. We have free support spaces where you can connect with others who get it. We also offer more in-depth resources for our members, like courses, workshops on family law and mental health, one-on-one help, and even an AI tool to assist you. You are a target right now, but you don't have to face it by yourself. The misuse of survivor culture, however well-intentioned, risks leaving alienated parents isolated and forgotten. But by choosing our words with care and precision, we can change that. We can honor the experiences of all victims, provide the right kind of support, and work toward a future where justice and healing are possible for every parent and every child affected by this devastating form of abuse. Thank you for watching, and please share this video to help spread awareness. Follow our channel for more content like this.